What's up, Leafs fans? Welcome back to another Leafs Nation After Dark. I'm Zack Phillips, and tonight we're going to be breaking down game number 29 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season as they defeat the Anaheim Ducks here tonight. In what was a lot closer of a game than it needed to be, 3-2 victory for this Leafs team over the Ducks, but it felt much better than where we've been at play-wise over the last little while. Obviously, the finish to the game the other night against the New Jersey Devils was much more exciting, and I'm not going to look at anything like that and say it was anywhere near that or as anywhere near as exciting or fun to watch. The overtime, the third period, and a game that you had no business being in. But this game against the Ducks here tonight, it was like, hey, you got out to a lead and you decided, let's shut it down. Let's hold this lead and let's win this game, which ultimately I think is a decent way to go about things here in these games against teams like the Anaheim Ducks, where traditionally in the past, this would have been a much tighter, much sketchier, much closer game. So kudos to the Maple Leafs on this victory here tonight as we continue to break down the game here tonight. What happened, the victory, Stolarz leaving the game. I want to remind everybody that this is a presentation of Bet365. Proud partner in the Leafs Nation pregame and the Leafs Nation After Dark. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. All right. Let's get into the game here tonight. Leafs win this one 3-2. A couple of missed nets there at the end by Mitch Marner. The one, obviously the last one, I was not overly concerned about when he missed, and it was like, all right, whatever. It was icing, 0.6 seconds. Basically just a formality to pretty much just end it and say, hey, let's do this final draw. As long as there's nothing absolutely absurd that happens. The first one was sketching me out, though. I'm not going to lie. When Mitch missed that first one, I kept thinking, I'm like, 26 seconds here, Anaheim, some funny business could happen, wall and net, like it's been one of those weird games. There's for no reason, Elliott, I mean, obviously there's a reason, but Elliott's tweeting about like, they're talking about on the show, the panel, there's this e-bug that's in the crowd, he's 31 years old, or get ready to go. I'm like, please don't do this. Just like this weird game, you know, it would be one of those Leafy things to happen where Wall gets hurt on that spread across, trying to get there, trying to make the save. It ends up going in. The E-Bug comes in for overtime. I'm like, please, let's just tidy this up. And then after they get through the 26-second icing one where Mitch, not icing, sorry, after Mitch missed that empty net on the backhand, the icing one, I was like, okay, we're fine. We're going to be okay. Ultimately, though, I think that this is a not great or not exceptional game, but a good win here. You can feel at least okay. The Leafs very clearly want to play some tight defensive hockey. They're going to play these a little bit slower, snuff you out kind of games, and they were successful in it here tonight. There was only really a few chances, a few opportunities that I looked at for Anaheim, or a few different periods of time where I was like, hey, this is one of those ones where Anaheim could put some pressure on here and do something that we obviously don't need to happen, don't want to happen, but ultimately the Leafs get out of this one pretty clean. The Leafs get out of this one with the 2 points. You don't let Anaheim get back in there, tie this thing up, and I think that that's kind of the best case scenario for tonight, especially given what happened in the first period. If you are watching right now and you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel. And if you aren't aware yet, we've started doing this last stream, but you've seen it at least every single time you tune into Leafs Morning Take, which you should be doing Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Nick and Rosie, we have a new partner here on the show. We have partnered up with Sick Kids. A very, very cool initiative that's part of what we've got going on here on the program, whether it's Leafs Nation After Dark or if it's Leafs Morning Take Show, all the Leafs Nation programming that you can catch right here on YouTube, Leafs Nation 401. The Super Chats. All proceeds from the Super Chats are going to Sick Kids charity. So, our Super Chat charity partner this season is Sick Kids. You want to make sure your question or comment gets on the show, hit us with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our super chat will go to Sick Kids Canada's first children's hospital and a top research intensive children's hospital in Canada and third in the world. Now, for those of you guys who are wondering, what is a super chat? Super chats and super stickers are ways to monetize our channel through the YouTube partner program, which we are a part of. And these features allow you guys, our viewers, to purchase live chat messages that stand out. And sometimes we can pin these, we can answer questions, whatever it may be during the show. If you want to buy a super chat or a super sticker, you can click the $ within a live chat. The live chat must be visible. Select one of the following. A super sticker, and then find the sticker pack you like. Or B, a super chat, and then to select an amount, either drag the slider or type your desired value, and then add an optional message. Click buy and send. To finish your purchase, just follow those instructions. Now, obviously, we have not and will not ever ask you guys to send in the super chats. If you don't want to, you don't want to. That's no issue at all. It doesn't mean anything for us here, or it doesn't make any difference for us here in terms of like the show and how the show is going to go. We just want you guys to know, because people do send super chats regularly. If you do want to send super chats, all proceeds will be going to Sick Kids. So thank you to those of you who do want to send them. It is a super cool initiative that we get to be a part of here on the show, and we appreciate all of you guys participating in the show on a regular basis and sending those super chats. So thank you guys very much. One thing I did think was kind of weird or kind of interesting here tonight was Max Pacioretty not getting an opportunity late in the game to get out on the ice and capitalize on his 2-goal game and have an opportunity to finish this one off with 3. Now, I did remember back to the beginning of the season. I think it was Nylander who had 2, and they forced him out there at the end of the game. I think he played a crazy amount of time consecutive, no changes, no shifts off, nothing. It was just Nylander out there trying to get that 3rd goal for the hat trick. I believe it was Nylander early on, and I do think that what happened in that one was whoever it was made it close, was able to come back and tighten it up. And I think Berube kind of at that point, it was like, all right, that's not happening again. This is not something we're going to do. But I did think that we could see them out there, especially given like 6 1/3. It's not playtime. Zach Berube is serious about this shit. Yeah, that's great, 6. That was the best line tonight. Like, that was the best line that this Leafs team had all night, generating opportunities, having chances. I thought that they were the best line this Leafs team had. I thought they were the most dangerous. I thought they created the most opportunities. So it's not like it would have just been, oh, get out there and get your cookies kind of a moment. I thought Max Pacioretty would get rewarded for that. He would get an opportunity to go there at the end. So that was kind of the only thing that I was looking at. And I was like, okay, what happened there? I don't know. That was the only thing. We got a super chat here from Tammy. Let's get to that. Tammy, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it as always. Tammy says, how about Willie Styles throwing some hits tonight? I know. That line was the best line that this team had. I know I just said it, but Nylander, Tavares, and Max Pacioretty were extremely involved here tonight. Nylander finishes the game with 7 shots on goal. He has 0 hits on the night, but I don't think it does justice to his level of physicality. And what I mean by his physicality in a game like this is his willingness to be engaged. He's not going to get hits that show up on the stat sheet, but it's those ones where you're going to go into a battle and you're not afraid to bump with the guy. Or the play that he had where he drives the net, he attacks the net in the second period, he has a burst of speed, drives in, tries to make a move past the defenseman, and then ends up getting taken down and thrown into the net. Like, Nylander has shown over the last little while a crazy amount of physical and mental growth, a level of maturity that has seemed to rapidly increase over the past few years. And he has just developed as a player an immense amount over the last little while. I thought William Nylander has been great as of late. I thought he really stepped up during the period of time where Austin Matthews was out. And I thought he's, for the most part, continued that. I think that Nylander has kind of just elevated his play, kept it up throughout the course of the season. And there's games here and there, like we got somebody asked not too long ago, oh, do you think William Nylander's play is dropping off and we're getting back to old Willie? You're going to have off nights here and there. Like, you're going to have off nights. But are you going to make them consistently off? That's one of the problems that Nylander has had in the past. That's where I would start to determine, yes, this is or is not the old William Nylander. He quite frequently in the past would have times where he would have 3, 5, whatever games off. Didn't really allow that to be the case here tonight. Didn't allow that to be the case over the last couple of years. Last game, not a great game from William Nylander. You know what was a pretty good game? Maybe even say a great game? Tonight's performance. I thought Nylander was great tonight. I thought that line was great tonight. William Nylander actually leads the entire game with expected goals here tonight with 1.44. So if it's not just from the eye test of what Willie did and how dominant he was, you can look at some of the underlying analytics from Willie's game here tonight to support the case that this guy was an absolute machine. For me, this also supports my case that Max Pacioretty should have been on that line with Nylander and Tavares the entire time since he came back. But it does raise the question, which I see a lot of you guys are asking in the chat there right now. Do you have to split up Matthews and Marner because they have not that been, because you guys are saying they haven't been that great over the last little while. The question that comes with that then is, who do you put with who? That's great. Split them up. And then what? I guess the only way you could go about it is Domi up there and then Nyes and then Marner takes his own line. I don't know. But I guess that's kind of your only answer. Debo says Leafs struggling to score playing north-south. I don't think it's... I mean... The thing I would say is... It's not as concerning to me if they are generating the chances which they were here tonight. I am happy and comfortable with not allowing high danger opportunities. I'm comfortable and happy with having tight defensive games and basically determining the pace of play that you want to play at in a game and enforcing your will on another team saying, we're going to do this, we're going to play this defensive style, and we're going to effectively dominate you or take it to you in these aspects of the game. If they were not able to generate chances, which had been happening over the last few games here, yes, it would be a concern, especially a longer-term concern. It's not for me right now. This game here tonight, like that you're talking about, 5.36 expected goals for this Leafs team. I know the underlying numbers and all that kind of stuff aren't everything, and it's not what I'm going to rely on as the heart and soul of what should and shouldn't be happening. But that it does at least tell me, bare minimum, that they were creating chances. There were good opportunities generated here, and it's not like they're having a hard time creating it. Yes, they didn't score here tonight on a lot of those. There were plenty of opportunities that it felt like they could have. But how many times did you watch them hit the post? Matthews in tight, Nylander off the bar, Jake McCabe hits the post. There were plenty of chances. Diz K, the first line had chances, but they didn't seem that dangerous, Zack, especially against a tired Ducks team. I would agree for the most part there. I don't think that they seemed that dangerous, that group, that first unit. They did have some flashes, but no, like they weren't that dangerous. So I think that that's fair. I'm more talking about this team as a whole. And the other thing I would say is honestly, the concern about their inability to take over and dominate 5-on-5 going north-south. If they can't do that, then you got the wrong fucking guys here, honestly. because that's the way that you're going to succeed in the playoffs. That's the way that you're going to go and win playoff games and series and have a chance at winning the Stanley Cup, is being extremely good at north-south hockey, because far too much in the past this team has played east-west hockey. They've been too fancy. They've not been that great at slowing the pace of play down and kind of imposing their will on another team that way. So if you're going to sit here and say, oh, you can't play this style of hockey because Matthews and Marner can't play it, well, then fuck them, because that's the kind of style that it takes to win long-term. Those guys need to figure it out. Those guys need to figure out a way to be productive and contribute in games like that then. I'm not saying like that's an issue here tonight. This is not the kind of main point of this conversation or what I'm saying, but long term, I do feel that way. Like, we cannot sit here and just continue to cater to it over and over and over again because, oh, it just didn't, oh, they can't play this way. They can't do that. No. Figure out a way to score, because that's how you're going to win playing hockey games in the NHL in the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's the kind of style of hockey it takes, and I think Craig Berube knows that, and that's why we're going to have to see this period of adapting from these guys. You need to figure out a way around it. I mean, Denver says, how do you know this, Zach? This man's speaking like he's a coach. Denver, have you watched playoffs, or are you just turning it off after the Leafs get kicked out? Like, seriously. Because if you watch any other team that has success, Tampa, Florida, Dallas, Vegas, Colorado, Edmonton last year, you watch these teams that go on these runs, you watch these teams that win Stanley Cups, they are able to play that game, that style of game, and excel at it. The Leafs, they've lost in the first round every year, other than one. They didn't play that style of hockey. So what are we talking about when it comes to that stuff? What do you mean, oh, this guy's talking like he's a coach? Come on, Denver. Wake the fuck up. You can see it. Every other team that goes on and has success does these things. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out. It doesn't. It's pretty easy, pretty clear-cut stuff a lot of times. This isn't like I'm the first person to ever sit here and say that this is what it takes to win or have success long-term either. So that kind of stuff is just absurd. Absurd. I don't know if these people are, if you're just trolling or what it is, but if you are, you're going to get called out for it. You're going to get called out for it. It is what it is. All right. We did see something negative happen here tonight. It was something I was praying we were not going to have to see from this one guy all season long. We already saw it with the guy who came in relief. It was Joseph Woll taking over, but Anthony Stolarz went down here tonight. And we're going to bring in the man himself, the Golden Muzzy, Nick Alberga, to help us break this one down. We got Zack Phillips alongside Nick Alberga. Anthony Stolarz leaves after the first period, does not return to the game. Joseph Woll comes in relief for Stolarz here, Nick. What do you make of Stolarz leaving the game? Any of the reports that we've heard so far here coming out of this one immediately after? And is there cause for concern if you are a Maple Leafs fan right now?
So Craig Berube just spoke. He just labeled it as a lower body injury and that they'll know more tomorrow. So unsurprisingly, not much was said post-game. I know our very own Frank Saravalli of Daily Faceoff saying it sounds more of a minor sort of precautionary type thing. But of course, they got to do further testing on that front. So, my initial reaction is like, oh, damn. I mean, this guy's been buzzing along. He's in the Vezina conversation. He's having a really good start here. But I mean, weirdly enough, it's like you can count on one hand how many disappointing goals or soft goals, if you want to call them, he's surrendered this season. And it wasn't a pretty goal that opened up the scoring there for the Anaheim Ducks. And then you look back at the replay and you're like, oh, especially the Vatrano goal, right? So I think there's curiosity with that. I mean, not to pinpoint that play specifically, but just looking at his sort of body language after it went down and happened. He looked a bit off, and Berube saying after the game too that pretty much Stolarz went to him at the first intermission. They did some testing and then said he couldn't go pretty much. So Wool came in. He got like a quick, word from everybody involved that he was going in. But you can't help but sit here and think as a Maple Leafs fan, the very worst, right? Just because this has happened before to many different netminders, right?
Yeah, the one thing that concerned me as well when I watched that happen and I saw him go down was, okay, lower body. Is this going to be something that comes back around later on and is going to nag like we've seen with Joseph Woll here through the first couple of years with him being up with the team? Hopefully not. I'm going to ask you something that I think all Leafs fans are kind of having in the back of their mind. It's something that's always been a little bit like cryptic when we've heard players, coaches, GMs, and whatever come out and talk about it right away is, oh yeah, it doesn't seem that bad. We heard that about Jake McCabe, and he missed a handful of games there. Is there any concern that this could be a more long-term injury for the Leafs team, something they're hiding up? I know we don't necessarily actually know, but just given the history of the team right now and anything that we've heard or seen here, do you have any concern about that?
Yeah, I guess so. I know right away the panel after the game on TV was talking about the stem cell and the knees and all this and that, and he's had history with his knees in the past, and it almost ended his career. I think it's only natural when it is the Toronto Maple Leafs, when there's been so much doom and gloom surrounding the position over the last 20 some odd years, that you automatically think the worst. Quite honestly, I don't know how to react. I will say I feel really good knowing there's another option waiting in the wings in Joseph Woll, Dennis Hildeby. I mean, they have options. It certainly doesn't help, Zach, that Matt Murray and Anthony Stolarz go down within like 7 days of each other, or even less than that. Like it's very leafy. But injuries are going to happen. It's now time for Joseph Woll to step up. We'll see how much time Anthony Stolarz has to miss. But I don't know about you. As soon as I saw Woll come in for the second, I'm like, here we go again, man.
I know it felt like Groundhog Day watching goaltenders go down for this team. Watching him stare at his legs was also like one of the most concerning feelings ever. That goal goes in. I didn't really think anything of it. I thought, oh, maybe he's looking at his pad or whatever. Nothing really still until the end of the period, and then we get the notification, hey, he's not coming back. Lower body injury. Obviously, Frank Saravelli there saying it doesn't look like it's going to be long term. The next thing I do want to ask you about, or nothing too serious, that is, let's say that they just keep him out for a little bit longer. Okay, just hypothetical here. Keep him out for a little bit longer. Let's let this thing heal up. Let's not push him too hard. Whatever. Are you comfortable with what this Leafs team has behind him, and not just Joseph Woll, but the goaltenders that you've got in the minors right now, particularly Dennis Hildeby, having to come up and fill in what could be an unknown amount of time with him being out?
Zach, it's got to be next man up, right? We've seen this throughout this early season where somebody goes down and somebody elevates. It could be Dennis Hildeby time. I think you always have to be careful when it comes to Joseph Woll and how you deploy him, knowing his injury history. This is such a big moment in his career. By the way, officially from Frank Saravalli, who I believe was on the Prime broadcast tonight, just saying not believed to be incredibly significant. But again, Craig Berube after the game saying that Stolarz needed further testing. But to answer your question, it just has to be that mentality. And I think the Leafs have to carry it from the guys up front and all the injuries they've had to just playing very compact in front of their netminders. I think you got to give them credit. They win this game. Woll comes in cold in the second period and solidifies the victory. But I believe in the system, if that's what you're asking me. So, yeah, it hurts losing Anthony Stolarz, but next man up for me.
The last thing that was kind of on my mind here, I know kind of circling back to something I've already asked you about, already talked about here, but Stolarz has that, plays the rest of the period, gets out of the period, they do some testing, they go through all that kind of stuff. Doesn't seem like it's that serious. Do you think that there's just an element with this Leafs team right now of treating their goaltenders with extra precaution? Like, oh, you felt the slightest little tug? That's it for you. Shut it down, get out. Because A, you've got the confidence in the other guy. If it's Woll in net and he goes down, Stolarz is going to be fine. Stolarz goes down, Woll is going to be fine in replacement. You're okay with that. like you said, trust the system. Hildeby's there. Do you think that there's maybe just a little bit of like a bubble wrap around these goaltenders in the eyes of the management and the coaching staff here in Toronto right now with the way that they're treating and handling these guys?
I can't go that far because, quite honestly, I know we're sort of, in this pressure cooker of a market, but this happens everywhere in this league, man. Like, goalies go down left and right. I joke about it on a daily basis on Leafs Morning Take on social media
Yeah.
that we need a goaltending summit, man. We really do. Like, it's just such a different era, and all the analytics, all the numbers pertaining to back-to-backs, and just in general, these guys are not as durable. I don't know what it is. I mean, there's been plenty of studies on them. Former goalies have spoken about it. They just can't stay healthy. It's not just a Joseph Woll thing. It's not just a Matt Murray thing. I mean, list the amount of goalies just specifically in this market: Ilya Samsonov, Freddie Anderson. You look around the league, I think every team deals with this type of stuff. Again, it's just more so under the microscope here in Toronto. So I wouldn't read too much directly into that. I think anytime there's a tweak or something going on with any player, never mind if it's a goalie or a forward or a D for that matter, I think you're going to take precaution. Many people in the chat, I should say, illustrating, yeah, it is mid-December. Okay, a lot of racetrack remaining in this season.
Yeah.
You just want to get your goaltenders right.
Yep. I mean, overall, I'm not too concerned. I do like, obviously, what they have behind them. Dennis Hildeby had one tough game here with the big club.
Yeah.
He's a kid. He's learning. I think it'll be fine. The Leafs have also given themselves enough leeway here where you're not dying for points in December and saying, oh no, we can't forward a game with the third string guy in net because we need this game, this win, this point, whatever it may be. So I feel like the Leafs have set themselves up for a pretty good position here right now. But Nick, appreciate you taking the time to do this, hopping on here to help break down the Anthony Stolarz injury situation. You're our immediate reporter giving us the scoops on what everybody said in the postgame.
I guess so, man. Thank you for having me, and have a great rest of your show. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. There you go. Nick's still on the screen there. That's my bad. There you go. Nick off the screen. There you go. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. As for the rest of the show, I mean, obviously appreciate Nick hopping on to help us out here with breaking down and reacting to everything that just took place with this Leafs team here tonight. Overall, I'm personally not that concerned. It does sound like everything that just took place there was an abundance of precaution. Frank Saravelli tweeting out, okay, it doesn't seem like this is overly serious. It doesn't seem like this is anything that we're going to have to worry about long term here. But it still is cause for concern when you see a goaltender go down in a Toronto Maple Leafs uniform, especially a guy that we're sitting here having Vezina conversations about right now. When that kind of stuff happens, it is like, not again. Why us? Like, why is this the case? Why is this happening? Why do we have to deal with this? It's frustrating. It's scary. It's all of the above, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that the team has at least set themselves up for how they play defensively, the actual defensemen that they have here right now, the goaltending tandem, and the kids that they've got in the minors to be in a pretty comfortable spot where it doesn't really it doesn't really concern you too much if this is the case. And who knows, maybe he misses 2 weeks. That's okay. As long as he's going to be back and healthy for the playoffs, then I think we'll be okay. I think we will be okay. As for the rest of the game and everything else that went on for this Leafs team here tonight, couple of notes. I mean, let's just kind of dig down through the box score of everything that went on here in this one. Looking over just at some of the team stats, obviously outshot Anaheim there, 33-28. One thing I did think it was interesting was there were a couple of moments where it felt like it loosened up and you went back to old school Leafs hockey where Anaheim was able to kind of maintain offensive zone time, put on some pressure, circle around the zone for a while, and the team would just stand around and it was like, oh shit, and then they would snap back out of it, which I do think is a positive. Like, it sucks having to watch that. It sucks having to see the team flounder around in their own zone and look lost, but I do also think that I do also think that it is positive to see them wake up and get out of those states. Like, to have them kind of get out of that funk and be like, we're okay, let's start playing our defensive game again. I think is a huge credit to Craig Berube and what they've instilled here in Toronto to not allow that to become who you are for the rest of the game, and just let that creep in and just take over everything that's happening, because we used to see that. We used to see that with this team, where it'll be like, hey, you're playing great for 2, 3, 4 games, and then you have one game where it starts to go awry and you just get scrambly. You just get completely lost in it, and you are getting absolutely start getting it flipped on its head, and you get dummied by teams like the Ducks, where they are just able to capitalize on these opportunities because you sneak out, you squeak out these crappy opportunities here and there against a team. It's like 1-0, 2-1. It's a tight one. And then all of a sudden you want to get into a track meet, and the Ducks are able to play right there with you. They kind of stopped that. They shut that down a little bit here. I think that was a positive for this group and something to build off going forward if we want to continue to talk about positives. Yes, also keep hitting that like button, subscribe here to the channel, Leafs Nation 401. And get those super chats in if you want to ask questions, anything like that. I will answer them here on the show as well. It goes to a good cause. Goes to Sick Kids. All proceeds go to Sick Kids charity. So if you do want to get your super chats in, send them there. Okay. Yes, the Ducks did get 28 shots on goal eventually. Continue to go through some of the box score stuff. I just want to kind of break down what happened here from that standpoint. Face-offs dominated the dot. There's not too much to dig into on all these stats. I just kind of want to go through some of the surface level stuff, because a lot of times people will come here and be like, well, what about this? Yes, they were out hit by Anaheim. Anaheim was chasing the game a lot here tonight. I mean, go to your deserve to win meters, ladies and gentlemen. 72.9% in favor of the Maple Leafs. The Leafs were in control for most of this one. As I mentioned, there were just a few periods of time where it was like, it opened up, Anaheim had some opportunities, and the Leafs were like, don't allow that anymore. Shut it down. But because of the nature of the game, Anaheim's going to be chasing. They're going to be more physical. They're not going to have the puck as much. I don't want to hear about, the Leafs, they lost physicality. No. Get that out of here. The Leafs carried the play for the most part here tonight. Other things that I want to look at. Penalty kill, 0 for 1. Anaheim scores on their one power play. It is the Vatrano goal. Realistically, where I want to go from here, or to here on this, is that penalty kill just felt more like just a fundamental breakdown. You got back in the zone. You didn't get set quick enough while Anaheim crossed in and gained the offensive zone. You didn't get to your positions, which I know that this is like minor hockey, such basics, fundamental stuff to say, but they just didn't set. Like, they came back to their own zone and never really comfortably got back into the PK setup. Anaheim went quick across the ice, quick across the Vatrano. He had a second to be able to step in and take that shot. And then obviously right then and there, looks like that's what Anthony Stolarz got hurt on. So, I mean, it's not a cause for concern here. If this was something that was happening frequently, yeah, we could have a bigger conversation about it. It's not. Just kind of wanted to dig into what that goal was, and why this team ended up 0 for 1 on the penalty kill tonight, and why Anaheim had a 100% penalty kill percentage. The other thing that is not great, flip side of the special teams, power play, 0 for 2. I think I've had enough. Nick said it the other day, but I think I'm in the same boat here now. I think I've had enough of the 5-forward power play. Like, can we call it quits on that? Because so often right now, it feels like there are so many opportunities that the other team is creating on the Leafs power plays. And I don't know if this is just because it's the Leafs that are giving them these chances, if it's the Leafs that are allowing these breakdowns to happen, which is obviously part of the problem here. That is part of the case that's going on. But like outside of that, you are having opportunities or moments here now where the Leafs are just getting pummeled defensively on their own power play. Not necessarily here tonight, like it wasn't like pronounced here in this game, but you really didn't need, in a lot of these circumstances, to have 5 forwards out there when you've got Oliver Ekman-Larsson. I'm not the biggest fan of Morgan Rielly being your number one guy, but when you've got him out there as well, like, you just don't need 5 forwards. You can split these guys up and break this power play up. Why not go with 2 good 1-minute units? Like, I think that's fine. It feels like when you get all 5 of the big boys out there, or all 4 or 5, whatever you want to call it, of the big boys, I'm throwing Nyes into that now. If you get them all out there together, it feels like they just, I don't know if it's lackadaisical. I don't know if they lack a sense of urgency. Like, I'm not entirely sure what it is, but they get into these states where it's like, they just don't have like an intensity, and they give up opportunities at a ridiculous rate. And here tonight against Anaheim, it was no different for them. Like, bad turnovers, didn't feel overly dangerous on the odd man, like with the power play. Like, at that point for me, okay, we can switch this up. We can change things out. Like, I've got no issue with that. But the power play is a pain point for me, and something that I really, really think they need to organize and sort out by the time they get to the playoffs. Because if you stroll in there limping the way that you are with this power play, it is going to be messy yet again. Power plays are few and far between in the playoffs, and if you can't score on them, you are royally screwed. Because it's even tighter at 5-on-5. Like, it's hard to score 5-on-5. So when you get an odd man, you need to find ways to score. You need to find ways to get on the board and contribute. And that's been a huge problem for this team in years past, is the power play, the special teams in the playoffs. It's tough. It's tough when he gets there. That needs to change. It needs to be fixed. I would be willing to change this power play up. 9 more likes to Smelling Salts here. At 50, 100, 150, you do the Smelling Salts. Any super chats that come in will go to Sick Kids. Tammy there with the one early on. We appreciate you, Tammy, as always. But yes, keep hitting that like button. Subscribe here to the channel. Let's go through some of the chat. As far as like my thoughts on the game here tonight, we've kind of covered some of the main things. I mean, obviously, write down a lot of what's going on. Talked about how exceptional I thought Nylander, Tavares, etc. were here with Pacioretty and that line here tonight. Another guy I actually thought was really good here tonight in this game and deserves credit is Jake McCabe. I thought Jake McCabe was very good. He was activating at the right times. He was reading plays well. He was getting involved in the offense. He looked good defensively. Like, he did not look like he had taken a step behind. And I think to see that with a guy whose game relies on physicality, who had taken a puck to the head, to be just still so active and so engaged in it, it was a positive sign. It was a positive sign. You guys send stuff in the chat. I want to know what you guys think, and I'll read some of these or answer questions that you guys have with my opinions of this game here. But I do want to know where you guys come from on or are approaching this one. But yeah, McCabe was really good, and I thought that immediately calmed everything down defensively. Simone Benoit, Connor Timmins, they looked good. It felt like they didn't feel like they had as much pressure because he was back. Morgan Rielly, Ekman Larsson, that pair, they looked much better together because Morgan Rielly is more stabilized now, not having Philippe Myers alongside of him. Ekman Larsson and Tano I thought was fine anyway, so it was like no big issue there. But outside of that, I mean, going to Ekman Larsson and Rielly, amazing. You take a massive step up when you put McCabe with Tanev. And that's no slight or disrespect to Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who I think has been fantastic this season. That's just straight up pointing out the fact that Jake McCabe is so good defensively. And that pairing together is awesome. So wanted to point that out. Give some love to the defense here tonight. I thought that they were really, really good. Really good. Another super chat. All right, super chat here, Robert Smith. Robert, for those of you watching on YouTube and not listening on podcasts, Robert said, kids, there you go. That's my last $5. Sent $5 to the sick kids. Robert, thank you. I appreciate it. I want to make it very clear. This does not go to me. It does not go to Leafs Nation or Nation Network. This goes to, all proceeds go to sick kids. Want to make that very clear here as well as we're doing this, and you guys are sending the super chats. We appreciate them. We appreciate the support. These are going to sick kids. So thank you very much for that, for the support here. But yeah, proceeds from our super chat will go to sick kids. So thank you. All right, continuing on with the chat. Worm castings. Play the Tavares line on number 1 PP. Curious about that more. What you would have to do to also fill that out, because are you just playing the Tavares line? Are you playing 4 forwards? Are you putting 2 defense? Like, how do you want to break that up? Who's the forward that goes out there with you? But I would honestly say I don't mind that at all. I would be interested in maybe putting those guys out there together and then putting Nyes and like, but Pacioretty, I guess, kind of takes the Nyes role in that situation. Depends on how you want to break them out, but do that and then Ekman Larsson at top. I mean, I wouldn't be mad about that. Even if you put Matthews on that unit and then you go Nyes and Marner on the second one, Willie plays all 2 minutes. And then you can break out Matthews and Marner on the power play, spread things out a little bit. I don't know. It would certainly be an interesting look and an interesting way to approach the lineup. That's for sure. What else here tonight? The Benoit holding call that led to the Anaheim power play as well, by the way, soft. Just want to point that out. Very, very soft. Very soft. These are kind of the biggest things that I had here for the show tonight. I'm not going to lie. It's a rather uneventful Thursday night. I see people talking about like the line shaping up. Chris Arsenault lines are shaping up to look all right when McMahon comes back. Mike Batson. McMahon might look good with Minton. These are some of the things I'm saying where I'm like, I'm not overly worried. Like, I don't think that Holmberg will be a guy who's as heavily relied upon come playoff time or in more important moments or when guys are healthy. Like, I see him getting pushed out. So seeing a guy like McMahon comes back, I can definitely see like Holmberg getting pushed out, Minton staying up. I don't think that he's done anything to deserve to be sent back down to the minors. So Minton at center there. I'm more so just talking about when guys get healthy and what you do with them. Maybe that helps out Domi because there's not as much of a workload, or he's not as much of like the veteran leaned upon guy on that line. It can just alleviate pressure from other people and allow them to play their games. I am curious how they go about handling Domi down the stretch here, because he's not been that great so far to start this season. I kept giving him the crutch of, hey, he was injured. Now he's been out. At some point over the next little while, you're going to start to have to say, hey, it's got to pick up, because rust should start to shake off. You should get back to it. The best he looked last year was when he was playing with Austin Matthews. Is he going to get an opportunity alongside him again? That's something I wonder. Okay, I think we're pretty tidy work here on the show tonight. I think we could pretty much get to a point here where we could wrap this up. We'll first and foremost get to our play of the game. Okay, play of the game for me is going to be the Max Pacioretty, the first Max Pacioretty goal. The reason is face-off win by Tavares. Nylander comes in to pick it up. He goes back to the point, goes across to McCabe, and McCabe takes one step down towards the net, doesn't dilly-dally around with the puck, doesn't spend too long considering what to do or fire it in the corner or try to skate it in himself. He puts the puck on net. Rebound comes out. John Tavares there on the doorstep. Passes it. Beautiful pass to Max Pacioretty, who extends out and scores. The Leafs were able to generate on a couple of face-off plays. That was not the only one. The other one that they almost had one on was the Jake McCabe one. You don't allow people to get set. You don't allow the goalie to get comfortable. Draws one, puck goes back to Benoit, who passes across to McCabe. He fires off a one-timer. Nobody's really set. Nobody's in place. Nobody feels that great. Puck rips by, hits the post. Just another face-off opportunity. Another face-off chance that you get. Like, being able to do that, quickly ripping off of these face-offs, it's a good way to just jump down the opponent's throat. The other one was Matthews-Marner line. It was in the second period. It was the third goal, the Pacioretty tip. They lose the puck. Haul ass back down the other way, get it back, go down on an offensive chance, whistle goes, whatever, face off in the offensive zone. Tavares wins the draw, Timmins takes a shot, Pacioretty tips it in. You can jump out on teams quickly on these face-offs. I like that. I like those face-off plays, Pacioretty being able to score, and I like that first goal. That's my play of the game. Let's get to our best bet here tonight, which I'm interested to hear what a lot of you guys have to say about it. Our best bet segment is brought to you by Bet365, proud partner of the Leafs Nation pregame and the Leafs Nation after dark. Open an account Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. That's code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. All right, tonight's best bet did not go the way that we would have liked it to here tonight, as in we lost. But if you watch the pregame show, whether it was on YouTube or Twitter, however you consume the pregame show on a regular basis, you can do either way. So we bet $5 on a plus 8,000 and 80 to 1 on Mitch Marner to score a hat trick here tonight. I thought Anaheim Ducks, Leafs at home, had a couple bad games, played not great against the Devils, squeaked out a win. We're going to bet $5 to win $400 here on Marner to score a hat trick. I thought it was a fun bet. I used my prop tool. We found a good number there. Best price in market, obviously, at our friends at Bet365. And no bueno. Not only did he not get a hat trick, he had no goals. My thought was, even if he has 2, maybe late, empty net, get an opportunity. Didn't work out for us, so we lose that one here tonight. That pushes our record to 10-23 on the season. And it brings us to down 1.23 units. We were down 1.18 before. We lose the $5 bet here tonight. We're now down 1.23. It is what it is. It happens. We bounce back. We have another opportunity on Saturday night. And then another opportunity on Sunday. Also, honorable mention to Willie with the double tap goal. He enters the zone with speed. He enters the zone with power. He draws 2 extra defenders to him. He had 3 Ducks guys surround him, dishes it outside to Pacioretty, continues on with speed through them. Pacioretty hits him back on the give and go. He goes to tip it, bounces up in the air, and then he double whacks it into the net. So honorable mention for Willie there. Final thing we got to get to. Oh, actually, not final thing. We have 50 likes here on the stream. Smelling salts. Thank you guys for liking the stream. Appreciate it as always. Every 50, you guys know it. 50, 100, 150, 200, we do the smelling salts. So thank you guys for doing that. Here is the smelling salts for tonight. Thank you. Oh. There you go. When you got a stuffy nose, that certainly helps wake you up. All right. Ooh. Let's get to our grade of the game. Let's get out of here. Wrap this thing up. Grade of the game for me tonight is going to be... That's what it's going to be. It's going to be a B. I think that this was just the most average, middle-of-the-road game. From vibes to execution to... Stolar's getting injured. It was great to see Wall come in relief and play well in replacement, but I mean, to see your goalie go down, a guy who's in the Vezina conversations, is never fun. I don't know. This is just like a B. I could go even lower, but it's like you're still just winning games. And it's strange because even in these games where I don't think that they played that well, you can see the process kind of like morphing its way into the team and their style of play and their identity and their attitude. And I think at the end of the day, that's a major, major positive. So I'm just like a mid-pack here. I'm not overly happy or overly upset. It's a B grade for me. Tammy, D. Mark Digal, B+. AK, C. Dizk, C+. Roberts, C. Benny, B. B-. I mean, like, you guys are kind of all around where I'm at here tonight. A little bit lower to a little bit higher, and I think that that's kind of fair. I honestly feel like B might be too high, and I get that. But, yeah, B is kind of where I'm at. I don't know. That's my grade for tonight. That'll do it for the show. We appreciate you guys tuning in here, as always, liking the stream, subscribing here to the channel, Leafs Nation 401. Appreciate Nick for stopping by and providing some insight as to what went on with Anthony Stolarz, what the comments were post-game, what we're hearing from some of the reporters out there. Thank you to Nick, as always. Thank you guys in the chat for liking, subscribing, all that kind of stuff. That'll do it for me. I will be back on Saturday for another Leafs Nation pregame and Leafs Nation After Dark show right here on this channel, Leafs Nation 401. Make sure to tune into the show tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Nick, he got himself a new co-host. And yes, he is also a former Maple Leaf. Frankie Corrado joins Nick tomorrow morning right here on Leafs Nation 401. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in here tonight. This has been game number 29 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, moving to 18-9-2. See you guys on Saturday. Until then, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos. Make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.